Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my advice and what has helped me. The main points of how I've helped get past my fear of presentations and to do presentations that I'm proud of and happy with. So I think I'll get some notes. So I think first of all you have to think about you as an individual. What would be your best case scenario? So imagine that you didn't really stutter and that you could fluently say it. How would you feel best doing it? Would you feel really nervous in front of a group, or would you prefer to do it one-on-one? Like, what would make you feel really empowered? And then you can start to build in things that would maybe build up your confidence. And also sometimes just speaking to the teacher beforehand and just giving them a heads up would just take out any fear you have of it being like the elephant in the room when you start speaking and then you start stuttering. Because for me that was a massive fear of like, well, what if it's just incredibly awkward? Because I'd done a presentation before where it had felt like that. It had felt like everyone's just looking at each other like she can't say anything, like she can't speak. It's just have a bit of a think of like, imagine the different best case scenarios and think, oh, maybe I could actually do that. For me, baby steps really worked. So I started out by doing one-on-one presentations, and that just gave me a lot of confidence of like, oh, I can definitely do this. I mean, I had done group presentations before and I had done like class presentations, but I think that the me choosing to do it in a way that I felt comfortable with really helped. If you want to throw yourself in there and just face your fear head on and just go for it, I can't see any downsides in that. As long as you're happy to do that, then literally no downsides, because to be able to do it and prove that even if it's not perfect and in your head perfect, or even if you stutter a lot and it takes you longer, nothing bad is really going to happen. I think it's just more the internal impacts of like how you see yourself and like building up in your fears. If you have a bad experience with it and then you feel embarrassed and uncomfortable, then you're less likely to in the future. So I think if you can do it from an empowered way and be like, I'm going to face this fear head on, then that's excellent. I would typically always send an email up front personally to the lecturer or the group lead. This made me feel a lot more comfortable about doing it because I could ask for what I need and what would be most supportive, and it also sets their expectations that it's not a lack of prep. It's not that I haven't prepared the presentation. It's not that I'm forgetting what I'm saying. It's just that this is just a speech difference that I have, an altered fluency. And so it doesn't have to be a long email. It can just say, look, I've had a stutter since I was younger, or I have a stutter and it sometimes impacts me in presentations. It might take me longer to get my case across. If you want to ask for a specific thing, you could be like, please can I do this like one-on-one, or please can I just do it to a small group at first. And I think sending some kind of email to just let them know, I always got kind of I think it gives you some respect because you're being straightforward. They aren't surprised. They're thinking, oh, this person's really good at communicating. They've let me know. I also want to say that don't feel like you have to, like, I feel like I shouldn't have to do this disclaimer, but you shouldn't have to act any different because of your speech impediment. Just things that have made me feel more comfortable personally and made these things easier. So when it comes to making the presentation, I personally would prepare the slides well in advance, like maybe a week before, so that I can do the writing of the slides or the writing of the presentation completely separate from any of the speaking aspects, because then I could stay in this denial of like, oh, I'm just writing the presentation right now, like, and then I didn't have to think about the bit that would make me nervous. And so I'd get the slides really good, and then maybe 3 nights before, or however much time you think it's going to take, I would set a timer for 30 minutes and just be like, okay, I'm just going to start explaining what's on the slides and think about how I can communicate this to the person and pick out the core pieces of information that they're going to need to know. And setting a 30-minute timer just made me think, well, like, even if it's not good, it's like limited. I'm just going to get a bit done and I'll feel better. That was good. And that took away any fear. And then typically once I'd done that, I then would want to work on it a bit more and want to make sure that I'm confident in what I'm saying. I think memorizing the first slide and the introduction is really, really good advice, which I got from one of my lecturers on presentations, and they were like, you probably already do this, but if you memorize the first couple of slides, it's just going to flow really easily and the whole presentation will go really well. And that's always worked for me. And sometimes the introduction is the bit that I tripped up on the most, because I think it's like when you first get up there, you've got this nervous energy, and then as soon as you start to actually get to the explaining bit and trying to communicate what's on the presentation, then you start to relax. So maybe do that. The night before and the day of, I would relax. I wouldn't look at the presentation. I would maybe look it over, like do it for 5 minutes the night before, just run through the whole presentation, but I would basically put it away and be like, I'm not going to do anything on the morning of, just relax, go for a walk, have some breakfast, take it easy, listen to music while you're walking, stomp out any nervous energy. And then I think focus on how great you're going to feel after. Like, if this is a fear of yours, of doing presentations, then you will have faced that fear head on and you will have defeated it, and it doesn't matter how it went. It's more about, like, you know that you can do it if you need to, and you know that you faced that fear and beaten something that's really difficult, and you can start to track the progress of, like, remember that one time when I was really scared to do it, and now I feel confident speaking in front of a much bigger group of people and things like that. So I think as soon as you start to get momentum and hit these goals, hit it off your goals list, then you're going to feel good. And when it comes to doing it and stuttering, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Nobody will really be impacted by it apart from you. So it doesn't matter if it takes longer. It doesn't matter if you stutter and get caught up. I think it's more about the actual, I have done it, and I've done it for me. I've done something that is not easy and is scary. And yeah, you'll start to feel like really good about it and really positive about actually being able to do something that maybe you've told yourself that you can't do or that you're scared of. And yeah, I don't think having a stutter should impact your uni grades or anything like that. So don't let this put you off doing presentations. Go for it and you'll do great. Okay.